Hello, welcome to the second video on type 2 diabetes. In the last video, we understood the real root cause of diabetes, being insulin resistance. The fact that the body has to produce too much of insulin to handle a certain amount of sugar or glucose that is coming in from our diet. We also understood the mechanism of how this happens, and we also looked at the symptoms of insulin resistance like abdominal obesity, hypertension, high levels of insulin, inflammation, brain fog, skin tags, dark patches on the skin, all of these things we looked at last time. Now in this video, we will dive a little deeper into one or two other aspects of insulin and then see how we can reverse this entire dynamic. Generally, the real root cause, which is insulin resistance, is never addressed. So over a period of time, even though we are able to keep the blood sugar level under control with a variety of medications and even insulin injections, the actual problem inside, which is high level of insulin, goes on aggravating, and all the side effects of this go on increasing over a period of time. And multiple studies have proven the fact that even if you somehow manage to keep the blood sugar levels under control, the side effects which we looked at earlier, right? Cardiovascular disease, kidney damage, eye damage, etc., they still go on happening. The normal approach is unable to prevent all of these damages from happening to the system. So in the previous video, we understood that insulin plays a major role in regulating the level of blood sugar. Another very important function of insulin is energy storage. See, this is part of the evolutionary mechanism. We have lived in nature for millions of years where food was never available steadily throughout the year. There were periods when a lot of food was available. There were periods when hardly anything was available. This is referred to as feasting and fasting cycles. Lot of food and very little or no food. So the body has adapted itself to store a certain amount of the food when good quantity of food is available. Insulin plays a major role in this storage of food or energy. So when we consume food, especially food that is rich in carbohydrates, as more insulin is produced, a certain amount of this glucose in the blood gets converted into fat and stored in the body for use when there is not enough food available. But today we are not living in a situation where we go through fasting and feasting cycles. We are living in a situation where we are always feasting, multiple meals a day and 365 days of the year we are eating non-stop. So definitely this is causing an imbalance in the body. Because of insulin resistance, the amount of insulin remains high, and this means that a certain amount of sugar in the blood is always getting converted into fat and stored away in the body. The reverse process, which is conversion of fat into sugar and then getting used up as a source of energy, never happens unless insulin falls below a certain level. And in people with insulin resistance, very often insulin will never fall below this threshold. So only one-way traffic is happening, which means glucose to fat conversion is happening, but the fat is never getting used for production of energy. This is why a lot of people who have diabetes and insulin resistance, they struggle with losing weight. I have had people complain to me, I just eat 2 rotis now, I've stopped even putting ghee on them, still I go on gaining weight. No matter what I do, I will gain weight. So this is the experience, because we haven't understood the actual mechanism of what is happening inside. So where is the first location where this fat is stored? It is in the liver. Actually the conversion of glucose to fat happens in the liver, and storage also happens. A lot of people who are type 2 diabetics, because of insulin resistance, they are also diagnosed with certain degree of fatty liver. This is known as NAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This is happening because of the mechanism that I explained just a minute back. Now imagine, liver is probably the most important organ when it comes to maintaining the health of the body, detoxifying the body, so many functions it performs. We have identified more than 500 functions that the liver performs. And scientists are saying that we probably haven't understood many more functions. More than we have understood are still left to be understood. That is the importance of the liver. Now imagine when this liver's functioning is impaired, definitely your health will go down, isn't it? So many different problems will come. Once the liver's storage, which is around 250 grams of fat, is done, then the body starts depositing fat around the liver in the abdominal area. So this is why you see people with diabetes have a big belly. Generally, the advice that is given to such people is to exercise more and maybe eat less. But once again, this is a misconception that just exercising will reverse this entire process. Yes, exercise is important, it is helpful, but not the complete solution. So how can we address this? The most important thing is changing your diet, because the root of the problem is there. We can follow a simple few steps and overcome this problem quite easily. The first thing is to stop consuming refined grains, especially white rice, and also the kind of wheat flour that we get from the market is highly refined today. Switch to whole grains, unrefined, how they are available in nature. Switch to millets. Their glycemic load is much lower than most other grains. They are much better for a person who is struggling with insulin resistance. Step 2 is to reduce the consumption of your grains, your carbohydrates, by 50%. If you're eating this much of rice, make it half. If you're eating 5 chapatis, make it 2.5. This is the second most important step. However, I'm not asking you to reduce your dietary intake. So you have to compensate for this reduction in your diet by increasing the consumption of proteins. It may surprise you to know that more than 80% of the population, at least the urban population in India, are deficient on proteins. Even non-vegetarians are deficient on proteins, because the body, they may be eating enough protein, but the body may not be able to absorb it, digest it and absorb it. But that's a different topic for another day. So step 3 is to increase the amount of healthy protein in your diet. When it comes to protein, you can follow a simple thumb rule. Minimum 1 gram of protein per kg of body weight you must consume. This is required for maintenance of health. But when you're trying to improve, recover from any chronic health issues, you must consume a little more than this. So I would say keep a ballpark of around 100 grams of protein consumption every day. The next important thing is to remove all refined oils from your diet. All refined oils. See, one simple thing that we need to keep in mind is that this body is designed for food as it is available in nature, not how it is made in a factory, not after processing and refining, etc. So the closer we eat to nature, the healthier we will be. It's as simple as that. So remove all refined oils and start using coconut oil, organic cold pressed coconut oil, and ghee of a desi cow, generally known as A2 ghee. Start using these for your cooking, and for dressing your salads, etc. For adding on top, you can use you can use olive oil and flaxseed oil. You can also use a couple of other oils like sesame oil, etc. But these 4 are the most important. Now step 6 is to increase the consumption of healthy fats. This is very, very important. You remember the example I gave that insulin is like a key that is getting stuck now, it is unable to open the lock. So if you have a lock at home and that is getting stuck, what is the first thing you do? Put a few drops of oil, right? So you can think of it like that. If you have insulin resistance, one very, very important step you have to take is to increase the amount of healthy fats that you consume. Generally, I find that people, because they have been putting on weight, they have started fearing fat. They think that eating fat will make me fat. It is actually the other way around. It is the eating of carbohydrates that is making you fat, as I just explained a little while ago. And if you have to start losing fat, it is important that you teach the body to start using fat as a source of energy. Very, very important. And fat plays many other roles in the body. See, we have between 50 to 70 trillion cells in the body. You know what the cell walls are made of? They're made of fat. So unless you're putting the right quantity and the right quality of fat into the body, the health of every cell in the body is getting impacted negatively. So improve or increase the quantity of fat that you are consuming. I would say minimum 75 to 100 ml per day must be consumed. The next step, step 7, is to reduce the number of meals you have. You must not have more than 3 meals in a day. Maximum is 3. Ideal would be 2, which is generally referred to as intermittent fasting also. 3 is still okay, but no snacking in between should happen. If you're hungry, you can have water. This is very, very important if you have to break the insulin resistance in the body, because we have to give the body a period of time when there is no extra sugar coming into the bloodstream, because that will allow slowly for the insulin levels to start falling, and hopefully they will fall below the threshold where the stored fat will start getting used for energy production in the body. So very important, do not keep eating throughout the day. Have maximum 2 or 3 meals in a day. Step 8, very, very important step, is to reduce your stress. The moment there is stress in the mind, the body will actually start releasing more sugar into the bloodstream. And when more sugar is released, obviously insulin will also come into play after some time, right? So we are aggravating the entire dynamic of insulin resistance by stress in our minds. This is very, very important. Very important also is to ensure that you're sleeping properly, because just the lack of sleep can create havoc in the body at many levels, including for your metabolism. The next step, step 9, is to ensure that you are getting adequate exercise. Brisk walking is good, but look at more options. You can get involved in a sport which makes you sweat, and your heartbeat and your respiratory system starts working harder. You start sweating, etc. One very good option is to look at Hatha Yoga practices like Surya Namaskar. They are very, very good, very, very effective in breaking through insulin resistance. They also build health in the body in a very, very fundamental way. You can also look at HIIT, high intensity interval training. It has been shown to be very effective in reducing insulin resistance in the body. Just one session of HIIT exercise will have an impact on your insulin resistance for many days. That is how powerful it is. The next thing is to ensure that you check your nutritional status. Are you deficient in key nutrients like vitamin B's, B12, B9, etc., vitamin D, minerals like magnesium, zinc, iron, chromium? All of these deficiencies need to be addressed if you want the body to recover quickly. So you can work with a qualified functional medicine practitioner who can guide you through this entire process. Because when you're taking these supplements, it's important that you keep track of how much you're taking and for how long you're taking. We don't want these things to be low in the body, but we also don't want them to be too high. So if you follow these simple 10 steps, very, very easily you will see your health will start improving dramatically. We have had people who have been able to reduce the amount of medicine, metformin, etc., or even insulin injections that they were taking by 60-70% in a few weeks. And in a few months of time, they have been able to recover completely. No need left of any medication. So best of luck for your journey towards health, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.